I have been avoiding talking about this for the last year and a half because honestly, I didn't know how to talk about it. In June of 2021, I started filming this chair building project. I thought I was just blowing off work for a week and doing a fun build with a bunch of friends, but I had no idea at the time that in the middle of this build, my whole world was gonna come crashing down. It's actually really hard for me to watch this footage now because seeing the way that I was back then, so filled with hope and wonder and joy and excitement for what was to come, and to know what's changed is tough. We're gonna talk about exactly what happened at the point in the video when things really start to fall off the rails. But until then, please enjoy a fun-filled, carefree woodworking video. This week I'm blowing off work and I'm at Greg Pennington's house making another Windsor chair. There are a couple other artists who are here, Aspen Golan and Julia Harrison, that are also gonna be here this week. And I was like, obviously, I've gotta be here to make a chair. We're gonna start by cracking open that log and turning it into a whole bunch of chair parts. When it comes to splitting out the spindles, a lot of people wonder why we don't use a hydraulic firewood splitter or even just a saw to cut the material out. And the real reason is because we want to split along the grain, which is going to give us the highest concentration of grain running throughout our piece, which is what makes a very fine, refined, thin spindled, very delicate looking chair as strong as a tree. Full disclosure, I am actually supposed to be working this week, and the only reason I got to come over to Greg's is because I had to pick up his truck and trailer he's lending me to put up 500 bales of hay that we had made on the farm this week. So, you know, obviously I figured I could fit a Windsor chair in. I just did all 10 of my spindles. They are now in the kiln to dry, and I now need to turn the legs for my armchairs. Let's see if I remember how to turn. The legs are going into the kiln. And now, my favorite part, drilling all the compound angles for the seat. This is what kept me from making chairs for the longest time because I figured that with my dyslexia, I was never gonna be able to figure out the angles. But Greg has the most brilliant solution for angle drilling that I've ever seen. I'll show you. So Greg designed this laser system that has these sight lines for the drilling process laid out on the chair seat. And then he brings these nifty little lasers into the scene so that those laser lines line up on the crosshairs of your drill as you're drilling. And that makes these compound angles for the chair legs to splay out super easy to make happen. Well, I made a little error on my chair and I forgot to drill the spindle holes because I was so excited about carving the seat. So Greg has found this solution to now do it. But I need a little stool sample to be able to do this the right way. Making a chair involves an almost deceptive number of steps. I've got my chair almost all the way ready to go here. Except now comes the long and tedious part, and that is sizing and fitting the spindles. It is high time I finished this chair. I had to bring it home as a homework project from Greg's, and of course I used a little test piece and made all the spindles to the wrong dimensions. We need to remake these spindles. So we've got to get this and this is where the video cut off. Because it was about that time that everything that had been working for me for a very long time just stopped working. My business, my marriage, the school that I was building, my mental health, my physical well-being all started to completely crumble all at the same time. I had completely lost my way. A lot of the last year and a half of my life has not been fun. So many of the things that I planned for and counted on didn't work out the way that I'd hoped. I'm sure that many of you can relate to this. The last few years have not been easy on any of us. Saying yes to new opportunities is both my greatest strength and greatest weakness. I grew up without many financial resources. I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 5 years old and got my first full-time job by lying about my age when I was 13 because as a kid, if I wanted anything, I needed to figure out a way to pay for it on my own. Because of all that, I really don't know how or where or when to stop. When I started filming this chair making video, I had 13 people working with me. I had 2 full-time employees and several other contract employees doing various things. I was working 80 to 100 hours a week, and I got so wrapped up in taking care of everyone around me that I lost sight of what was actually most important and truly fundamental to making any of this work. Things like taking care of my marriage and taking care of myself. So when my school building continued to see delay after delay after delay, and the costs were multiplying far beyond what I ever could have planned for, when my marriage hit a wall and when my mental and physical health started to crumble, making the impossible choice to shrink my business from a 13-person growing company to a one-woman show, pressing pause on all of my teaching engagements and building the school and everything else that I was doing felt like such a failure. It was an impossible but necessary choice. I feel like the things I've been up against the last couple of years have turned me into a really different person than I was when I started filming this video. I want so badly to be able to get back to the fun, silly, carefree, joy-filled, wonder-filled person who had so much hope and excitement for what was to come. But I also think it's so important to talk about these things, and since nobody else is, I feel really compelled to do so. But it's been really hard to do that and be consistent and try to pretend like I'm still this joy-filled, hope-filled, excited person who's what you expect when you click on an Anna of all trades video. And honestly, I want to get back to that. I would love right now to tell you an incredible transformation story, tell you about how our marriage is fixed and my business is booming and all these other things, but most days, we're still in the thick of it. With all my heart, I want to believe that we are going to be together and we're going to open that school together, and that one day I will feel the same way that I felt a few years ago, that anything is possible. After spending so much of the last couple years feeling like I failed and like I can't, Adam and I have been trying really hard the last few months to try to get me back to a place where I feel confident that I actually can take on hard things, where I actually can do them on my own and bring them to completion. We've tried to make everything that we're doing as fun as possible, even if it's not so fun. I've been trying really hard to get back to a place where I can face each day with the joy, the hope, and the gratitude that it deserves. Because really, right now is all we're guaranteed. You're probably asking though, what actually happened to the chair? I am currently sitting inside it thanks to my woodworking heroes, Chris Schwartz and Megan Fitzpatrick, who actually came to Tennessee to hang out with me to talk about the future of my woodworking school, the future of teaching woodwork in general. And in the process, because I'm not good at just sitting and chatting, I was like, let's do something while we talk. And these got glued up, which honestly was kind of the kickstart I really needed to be able to feel like I could finish things again. Finishing these chairs was something I hadn't done in a really long time. Finishing anything. I had gotten very good at starting things and getting them going and then watching them fizzle out. So we're gonna end that chapter and start a new one. So my friend, next week I'm doing something that I've never done before. I am building a chair all by my lonesome. Why? Because honestly, I need to prove to myself that I can. And because I have 4 of the 6 chairs that I need for the full dining room set, and I need to build the next 2. And also because I just finished building the table that goes with the chairs that I had also been working on for 2 years. And that video will also hopefully be forthcoming shortly, maybe. But in the meantime, you can check out the table and the chairs and a lot more of the realness that I have not felt good about doing on camera on my Squarespace blog, annaofalltrades.com. It's in a video like this that I can honestly tell you how thankful I am for Squarespace's support for the last couple of years. They have very much been a part of how and why I've been able to continue doing things even when they're hard, and also just literally from a technological standpoint, Everyone complains when I say that I'm not tech savvy because they see everything that I'm doing online. But honestly, I feel like I need Adam to chime in at this point about how hilarious it is for me to try to do anything with technology that I don't know how to do, which is why Squarespace has been such a huge lifesaver for me. It allows me to have a platform where I can easily drag and drop everything that I want to share with the world into a beautiful artist design template that then shares it with the world. So you can see my woodworking, my homesteading, my gardening, all of the things that I have been writing about and learning about and sharing about for the last 10 years since I started my business in 2012 on my Squarespace website, thanks to the fact that they've made it easy and therefore possible for me to keep sharing. If you're interested in starting a website of your own, go to squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/AnnofAllTrades and you'll get a 10% discount. Stay tuned next week for my solo chair building adventure. I will see you in the next video. Cheers!